So I'm going to tell you a little story about myself that happened to me and was kind of a mindset moment. A number of years ago, when I first moved to New York and I was in my 20s, and I actually just moved from living in Aspen. I'd been teaching skiing out there and having a lot of fun, and I moved to New York in August, okay? And I was working at CBS Network, and it was now the end of October, beginning of November, and I got a call from my roommate. And he says, oh, Liz, I'm so bummed. I was gonna run the marathon with my girlfriend, and I was gonna propose to her as we were going over the Verrazano Bridge, and now she called me and she's too sick to run. And we've been training for 6 months together, and now she's not gonna run the race with me. And I said, oh, I was like, that's awful. I feel so badly. He's like, yeah, and I didn't wanna run alone. So I said, well, it's okay, I'll run it with you. And he said, really? And I said, yeah, I'll run it with you. And he said, but it's Wednesday, and the race is on Sunday. And I was like, that's a problem. I said, I'm really kind of out of shape. I haven't been running at all. But that's all right. I'll do it. I mean, why? I'm in my 20s. Why logical thinking, right? So I say to myself, well, I better get myself ready. So I'm going to go out and run the big loop in the park. That's a 6-mile loop. So the next day I get up before work and I run the 6-mile loop. And then that day at work, I'm like, whoa, I'm a little sore. That was rough. So I'm sore. Okay, that was only 6 miles. It's 26 miles I've got to go. So I'm thinking in my head, well, I've got to add 20 to this. This is going to be rough. So I call, I'm very resourceful. So I call a friend of mine who's a nutritionist and a sports trainer in Aspen. She trains all these top athletes. And I say, so what do I do? And she said, okay, what you should do is eat. She said, start eating right now, and then stop eating Saturday at noon. And I said, I shouldn't go work out or anything. She said, no, there's nothing you can do at this point except for eat. So I said, she said, by the way, I'm not endorsing this, but the only thing you can really do is eat. So I said, okay. So I ate. It was fantastic, best training I ever did. And then I really had to run because at this point I ate so much. So anyway, I go over and I go to run this race, and we start in where do we start? Staten Island. Thank you. I did run the race. I really did do it. So I start in Staten Island, and we go over the Verrazano Bridge. It's like going over a mountain, okay? It's just like way up. And I'm thinking going over this bridge, wow, I mean, how much longer is it? Like, this is rough. I mean, this bridge is, who starts a race with this bridge? Okay, so I'm like, whew. So then we come down, and we come into Brooklyn, and there are bands everywhere. So like, now I start really liking it. I'm running with my friend, and I'm like, I start running fast, and he's like, whoa, slow down. It's a really long race, so he's pacing me. And I'm like blowing past the water. He's like, no, you gotta drink at every stop. So he's kind of coaching me through, right? So I go through Brooklyn, and I'm like, this is great. I really love Brooklyn. Brooklyn is so fun. There's all this stuff going on. So, I'm like, this is a fun race. This is great. So then I get up into like around here. Now we're into, probably in through here, we get into Queens. Queens is not fun. So Queens no longer fun, and now we're around 13 miles. This is the farthest I've ever run in my whole life. And so I'm like, okay, I don't want to do this any longer. So I'm like, I don't want to do it, I want to go home. So I'm thinking, how do I go home? How do I get out of this race? So I can't get out of the race. And I realized I've got to keep going because I can't get out of this race because I have no way of getting home. I have no money. I have nothing on me. There's no one waiting for you to drive you home. Everyone else has plenty to run. So I realized that I have to now run until I get over this bridge here, right? And this is 16 miles. So I'm like, I really didn't think this through. So now I run over the bridge. I think, okay, I'm just going to get to 16 miles. That's it. Second I get to First Avenue, I'm done. So I get over the bridge and I come on to First Avenue, and then you come on. Has anyone here ever ran the marathon? Raise your hand if you ran the marathon. What happens on First Avenue? Oh my God, it's the greatest. It's like you're a celebrity. You're like, oh yeah, look at me. I mean, and I've got my name on my shirt. They're cheering for me like they've known me my whole life. So I go down First Avenue like a celebrity. I cook down First Avenue, thinking like I am the greatest runner ever. So I run down First Avenue, and what happens? I go to Harlem. I go over another bridge. I'm going over the bridge. I'm like, wait, what's happening? Of course, I haven't looked at the map. I have no idea where I'm going. I go over this bridge, and now I'm up here. I've got to get back. So once again, now I've lost my partner. So I don't know where my partner is. I've lost my partner. I've got to go, and I've got to come back into Manhattan. And I'm like, this is awful. So now around here, I'm coming back into Manhattan. It's really dead all in this area, and I'm coming back through to get back into the park. And now I really, really want to quit. And I'm thinking, why did I do this? None of this makes sense. In fact, I'm kind of almost hoping that lightning will strike and I just will die in this moment because everything hurts so much. And the only way forward is just keeping going. And everything about me thinks, well, I don't understand why I ever chose to do this or who forced me into this. I'm trying to think of people to blame, right? So I come into the park. I finally come into the park. And maybe it's 3 miles or something left, which feels like hundreds of miles. It doesn't feel like 3, it feels like hundreds. And so now I'm walking, and the walking is the beginning of the end. Because now you're just like, if I could walk, and then maybe I'll fall in a hole, and no one will ever find me. And then I don't have to admit I didn't finish either. No, I have to admit I got to 23, and then I quit, because I really, really want to quit. So I run into this guy really runs into me, and we went to high school together. And he was a couple years older than me, and he turns and he goes, oh my God, I heard you're running this race. And he said, just finish with me. He said, just keep going. Come on, you're going to finish with me. And I just stared at him and just followed him to the end. And I finished the race. And what was really amazing about that experience in my life is I took away 4 really interesting things. Because running that race is a lot of a reflection of our lives, and my life for sure. One is that there's going to be a lot of times you want to quit. And there's going to be a lot of times you're going to think that you're miserable. You're going to think, how did I get myself into this? And what can I do to get out of it? And hopefully you won't be allowed to quit. Hopefully you won't be able to quit. Hopefully you'll need the money to work, or something about it will keep you in the race, because that is a gift. Because that thing that's going to force you to work through the hard is going to be a gift when you get over it. The second thing that was really amazing was that you really can't do it without support. I kind of ran that race without the support. The support of my friend, who was kind of coaching me through and keeping my pace. The support of the random people on First Avenue who made me feel like $1 million when I came in. And the support of the guy who couldn't pick me up at the very end, just as a miracle, and help me get to the end. So you really can't do it without the support, and you've got to get the right support in your life to get there. The third thing I found that I thought was kind of interesting and unique was that sometimes when you're trying to be extraordinary, you've got to let go of logic. Because logic and extraordinary don't always come together. And sometimes in your life, you really need to step out of your comfort zone and go for something really big. And when you do that, none of the logic is going to make sense. But doing it is going to make all of the difference. And the last piece I learned was that finishing the race meant everything. It doesn't mean anything to anyone else, but it meant everything to me. And quitting at any point in that race would have been good enough, but finishing meant everything.